Hello, and today we're going to discuss one of the greatest heists ever committed. Welcome to the Mark of History. So in Quebec, Canada, in 2011, a heist went down that would set the tone to literally change the face of one of the greatest industries in Canada's history. Now, many people will rob diamonds, some people go after even fuel or drug heists. There's a whole bunch of different heists you can do. But these criminals decided to take one of the most valuable, important commodities ever to exist in the Canadian countryside. That's right, they stole maple syrup. And this theft would not just be felt in the industry. It would put ramifications throughout the entire state of Quebec. Literally, it produced a shortage of the stuff, which caused people to go into a panic, which is why they had to even tap into their reserves. That's right. Canada has a reserve of maple syrup in case the stuff ever decides to run low, I guess. I can't imagine why, but yes, some countries stockpile corn reserves or some emergency supplies. No, they stockpile maple syrup. Honestly, I can't say I blame them for that fact. So in 1966, the Quebec producers of this stuff, maple syrup, decided to collectively get together and begin to come up with a way to market this stuff a little better or make it a little bit more profitable. So they got together and decided to form a basic coalition that would place these large barrels of maple syrup in reserve in large warehouses for lengthy periods of time. Now, there's two natural resources and quite a few others, but two major ones that are never spoil. That is syrup, maple syrup more specifically, and honey. These two products can literally last lifetimes almost. So hoarding the stuff was logically advantageous. They could lower the price, betterly produce the stuff, and keep a reserve on hand for these emergencies. So from 2011 to 2012, after a couple months, a small amount, about 9,500 barrels of maple syrup was stolen between the production facilities and the warehouses. This was done to the tune of 18.7 million Canadian US dollars, an astronomical sum, to anybody's words. So how did they manage this spectacular feat? Well, a man by the name of Richard Vellemire, or something along those lines, the last name's a little tricky, but decided, upon driving his route every day, that he could borrow some of this syrup from one of these trucks. Now, these were just large, unmarked white barrels they stored the stuff in, nothing special. So he started skimming a bit off the top and decided, I can take a bit, why not take a lot? So along with him and a couple other individuals, decided to begin processing this stuff by driving it from the production facility to a certain place. They would siphon off these barrels, replace it with water because they're relatively similar in viscosity, and would transport them back. Now, the weight would remain the same, and to be honest, nobody would check them, so they just got checked into the warehouse and stuffed off into a back room where they wouldn't be found for a long time. And towards the end, they even got a little lazy and they didn't even bother filling it up with water, and just empty barrels got returned back to the warehouse. And nobody somehow noticed. How? Well, let's just say they weren't very cautious or didn't think that anybody was going to try to steal $18 million in Canadian dollars of maple syrup. So what did they do with this maple syrup? Well, once it had been stolen, they decided they would track it down to places like Vermont and Belmont, where in the United States, where it would be sold off in smaller batches to cover their tracks. A rather ingenious method to dispose of this stuff, as if they tried to sell it in their native country, I'm sure people would have questioned where it came from. So, well, basically they were running what looked to be a drug ring for maple syrup. Kind of impressive, really. In the end, how did these master criminals get caught? Well, in 2012, the collective group got together in attempts to inventory their barrels. And one of the individuals inspecting these things was climbing on top of one of the barrels, expecting the 600-pound plus barrel to support his weight easily. Well, he almost fell off of the empty barrel. This obviously got them a little confused. How did an empty barrel wind up in the warehouse? This sparked a massive investigation to find out just who in the world would steal such a precious Canadian resource. So between the 18th and 20th of December, 17 arrests were made and linked to this crime. Now, Richard's own father, Raymond, was even linked to the crime and was placed a $1.2 million fine for possession of this stuff. But the ringleader, Raymond, was given the heftiest toll, sentenced to 9 years and $9-point-something odd dollars to pay back to the government. He definitely got off harsh. for stealing maple syrup. Again, it was no small crime. I mean, he took $18.7 million of the stuff, but whew, that's a hefty deal. This just goes to show, throughout this entire tale I've just told you, that never underestimate the mind of a good thief, because despite how tiny or how insignificant the item may seem, in somebody's eyes, even something as simple as maple syrup can prove vastly wealth producing, especially when you're stealing 9,500 odd barrels of the stuff. So this has been the Mark of History video. If you liked the video, please like it or subscribe to the channel. I hope to be producing more of these videos like this, and especially with odd tales. So again, this has been the Quebec maple syrup heist of 2012. I bid you all a fine evening and a wonderful day.